that also takes me to the other issue that I face a lot today. In that people are not writing briefs anymore because everything is digital, everything has to be done yesterday. The agency folks are asked to come up with something that will go viral all the time. And so briefs are not necessarily being written. It's somebody holding it together, or most of the time it's nobody holding it together, each one holding a different version of it. So this is a question I get asked often by the agency folks, not just agency, everybody in the budding marketing careers, that how do I hone my skills as a marketer when everything's moving so fast? Yes, I need to be curious, but there's no singularity of thought for me to learn from. What should I do as a marketer?
So look, one is, if I try and think through your question, if you believe that, things are moving very fast, I would say just take a pause. It does not hurt. Okay. Now, for example, I'll go back to wanting something viral is a brief. So what does a brief do? Let's just sort of take pause and come back to answering that question. Writing a brief is not for the sort of virtue of writing a brief. It is so that everybody has a shared understanding to judge what comes out of it.
Right.
That is the value of a brief. It can be whatever it is.
Sure.
Right. So in the same way, I'm saying if you want something to go viral, that's the brief. Right. So add color to that, add some objectives, and say that, and therefore everybody is on the same page. This is what I want to achieve, but I'm expecting an impact which is viral. Good luck to you to judge that. That is all I'll say. But that's exactly what I mean, that the brief will keep everybody honest.
Sure.
Right.
See, again, what happens is that at a point in time, there is something that, say, from a client side or from the brand side, you desperately want. I want a very viral thing to go out, right? That's what you feel. So aapne brief dal diya. Next day, circumstances could change, right? The category could change, or next month or whatever it is. Now, how are you to judge whether this is going to go viral or it's not going to go viral?
Yeah.
Now, the brief will help you do that, hopefully. If you can write a brief. That's why I said good luck. I mean, this virality business is, you don't know, it's the good old, you put out an ad, TV ad, you don't know whether, people will take out the meaning that you intended, whether they will like it, etc. And which is the reason why we used to do the testing and the link testing, etc., so that we get a better understanding beforehand.
Sure.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, things have moving at such a pace that you don't have the luxury of going and doing all the link tests, etc. So you're only using judgment. So in fact, I would counter to say that in today's times, having a shared understanding of the brief is even more important.
Sure. Because things are moving fast.
Things are moving fast.
Yeah.
So when you say the shared understanding of the brief, it's to know what the brand stands for so that everybody knows what they need to bring to the table for the brand.
Correct. That is one. Second is, what do you hope to achieve? Like, okay, you want a piece of creative, I presume. You want some stimulus. It could be static, it could be dynamic, whatever it is. What do you hope to achieve with it?
Right.
This is what the brand stands for. These are the do's and the don'ts. Unless you put that down so that everybody has an understanding, you're going to be, I can foresee that you'll forever be, sort of arguing over things.
Yeah.
Unless you say, for example, I mean, just let's think of it hypothetically. You're a brand that believes in, just give me a category. Think of, not
Biscuits.
a real brand, but some category.
Biscuits.
Okay, biscuits, right? Now, you know that the context of the category is a bit of sharing, and it is always lighthearted, right?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You hear a story where biscuits are eaten at a funeral, right? You know the category context is wrong.
Correct.
Now, unless you have a shared understanding of this, I think your partner is going to continuously justify why the funeral situation is correct.
Right.
Right.
So somebody needs to share the category context.
You need to have a shared understanding. Now, I'm saying whether that happens over a cup of coffee, whether that happens over email, whatever it is. But unless and the onus is on the brand owner to put it down.
Yeah.
आप बताओगे नहीं, so why will the other party, sort of take note of it, is my point.
Correct. So in fact, interestingly, what you're saying is putting a brief might help you get to your right output faster rather than
Absolutely.
going back and forth about it.
Yeah, you'll cut down on a lot of things and you can always refer back saying, hey, this is what we put down, right?
Nice.
Now, it could also mean that you may change it, right?
Yeah.
And again, these things are not like, completely cast in stone. When I say that is that there are bits of the brief where if you hear something better, and that's happened in my career, you'll say, okay, fine. But at least it's a trigger.
Right.
Yes.
It actually the most, the biggest benefit I feel is that it gives you the conviction to say no to something. Otherwise, when somebody is coming to give you a solution to your problem, just remember they will sell you a range of things. Ultimately, you have to decide. How will you decide? So the power to say no, I think, comes from the brief. This is the reason. I may be right, wrong, but hello, my job is this, right?
Sure.
So it helps a lot. I think that's the power of a brief and a shared understanding of it.
Yes. So changing tack, Narayan, could you just give us some examples which could bring about how marketeers would operate in all the different sectors, categories that you worked in, so that our listeners could understand the things that you observe differently in, for example, cigarettes, biscuits, chocolates, then media, and now in auto?
Good question. So I think one is that what I would call what's sort of the role of marketing relevant for each category, right? So in largely, and I'm blocking all FMCGs together, all FMCGs, largely marketing is about, customer acquisition, right? What does that mean? It means you have to go and identify where are you going to get new customers from, how are you going to get them to consume more, the behavior aspects of it. Now that is marketing's sort of job. So if you look at it, you are a little the headlight of the organization, right? That's the term that we used to use because you lead the thinking. Right. And that's how I think broadly it is in most FMCG where a product is involved. Service is a little different. I don't know. Maybe it's the same, but I haven't thought deeply enough about it. I think then when you come to categories like media, right? There is this aspect of what I would call what do customers or what do consumers consume, which will inform the product, right? Which is very important, which is the storytelling part of it in media, right? But the actual, what we call the tools of marketing, making advertising or making communication is serving a certain purpose, right? That by itself may not be a driver for you to find new customers or occasions.
Okay.
So it is an enabler. Let me put it that way.
Sure.
Okay. Similarly in auto, like again, there are some fantastic brands and, Bajaj is one of them. And we have many brands which are fairly iconic, etc., etc. At the core of them there is a product which is designed, which serves and meets customer needs better than everybody else. Along with that comes that they're, available far and wide, cost of services, which is very important, is kept low, etc., etc. And this bundle becomes the brand.
Yeah.
So in marketing, you're sort of, while you are overall figuring out what this bundle is, you are actually activating a very small part of the entire brand experience, in my view. In FMCG, and again, coming to chocolate, coming to biscuits, etc., the product is one part, but people often consume the brand because of things outside of the product. I mean, if you look at chocolate, there is no real physiological requirement for you to consume chocolate, right? It's a feeling, it's an emotion.
Yeah.
So that is very fertile territory for you to build brand cues and, the brand around it.
Sure.
And then you can do specific things which will amplify it and people will consume you. The avenues for that may be a lot lesser in other categories. So for example, if you're a bank, right? I mean, your need for a bank is going to come when you need to go and take money out of it or take a loan or take an asset. By itself, going to a bank is not and with all due apologies to all my banking friends, bankers, the great brands, but I think we need to just objectively say that there's a certain role in a customer's life, and you need to sort of, play within the roles and the codes of that.
Right.
Sure.
Right. So I think this is the way in which marketing is different in all these categories. It's not the same tactics which will work.
Okay.
So, we knew that on chocolate, if you make advertising that tells a story that is very evocative, largely in the emotional zone, and the emotion being positive and happy, people will notice you, will remember you, and then reach out for,
Right.
one more piece of chocolate. You knew that in Bonvita, we figured out, as you guys know, after a lot of hit and trial, you can keep talking to the pester power of the child, but ultimately the
Mom.
pack of Bonvita or any other product is bought by the mom.
Right.
A lot of benefits by talking to the mom.
Yeah.
Right.
And how you talk, etc., then opens up that avenue, right? It's very different from chocolate.
Yes.
So the same tactic's not going to work,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's what I've experienced. And I've experienced, fortunately, not by making mistake, but out of experience that, okay, this is
Yes.
different.
Yes.
Right.
And like you said, in media, the content itself, or in auto, the bike itself or the device itself, is a significant part of consumer experience. And then you create some kind of marketing around it.
Correct.
Yeah? And if I were to put you on a spot and say, for a marketer, out of all the sectors that you've worked in, which one possibly would be the most exciting? What would your answer be?
Most exciting? ये तो unfair question है.
And answer that question not as CMO of Bajaj Auto, but